in terms of the protests that Democrats did. And they really tried the full sort of like gamut of protests. Some Democrats did not attend from the very beginning.
AOC, Patty Murray, I think, too.
Some Democrats went with signs that said a lie or this is not normal or stuff like that. Some left throughout the evening. Here is, I think, probably the loudest and most covered of the protests. And again, the protests are important because, at least from, I think, our perspective, I don't speak for Emma, but because it is important that the Democrats communicate to the American public at every opportunity what is happening is an emergency. He is stealing essentially from the public coffers to give to his crony friends. And we're seeing that in every case. I mean, I just did this GSA. When they sell off these buildings in downtown Washington, D.C., who do you think they're going to sell them to? These are not buildings that the federal government's ever going to be able to buy back because they're selling off prime real estate. Mm-hmm. They are selling off the public goods. This is just a massive privatization scheme. And the only sort of slight difference to it is that, it's all Trump's buddies. And I use that term broadly, but there's like inherent kickbacks in all of this. I mean, just across the board. And so it's incumbent upon the Democrats to attempt to cut through the noise and at the very least explain this dynamic or signal this dynamic to people who are not really paying attention that much. And I listen every morning to the AP News at the bottom and the top of the hour. At the bottom of the hour, they just talked about Trump's speech as if it was a normal speech and nothing else happened. They didn't say he lied about all this Social Security stuff, which he did. I mean, just blatant out and out lies that have already been debunked that he certainly knows about. It was a conscious decision to lie about Social Security. I mean, there were other ones too, but this was just the most egregious. AP doesn't mention it. At the top of the hour, when they have about another 15, 20 seconds, they talked about Democrat Al Green.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
That seems out of order.
That's basically it, right? So they remove him. I guess he was shouting, "You have no right to cut Medicaid."
You have no right to. You have no mandate to cut Medicaid.
Because he kept repeating that he has a mandate. Dude, you didn't even get 50% of the popular vote. The margin that you won by in the popular vote, 1.5%. It's the slimmest margin since the 2000 election. You have the slimmest, one of the slimmest majorities in the House in the history of this country. Give me a break about the mandate that he has to cut health care for tens of millions of Americans.
And so Al Green goes out into the hall outside of, the last time we see pictures like this really is from January 6th. And usually it was like full of people who were trying to kill the members inside. But all those people have been pardoned now. Here is Al Green in the hallway now.
So what were you shouting to the president?
The president said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people. It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
Is that what you said?
Well, look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
Great job.
100%. I mean, just in that, was this the right way to get that message across? Well, the fact that you're interviewing him and he's repeating it to you, and it's the only news that's going to get out in terms of like a pushback, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, Green has said that I think he will introduce articles of impeachment for a third time with Donald Trump. He's been, not horrible on things like Gaza, so condemning also Trump's plan to take it over and things like that. But I mean, this was, I think, the image that is going to resonate with people most. I wish they did more of that, specifically at the Social Security part. He went into that this was about Medicaid broadly, like when he was standing up, but they should have had those kind of walkouts and disruptions over all of the social programs he's planning on taking a hammer to.
100%. And I think it is difficult to know. I think people expected probably that them walking out in the middle of the speech would be more disruptive than it ended up being, because the cameras never moved and no one really knew it. If you weren't like sort of following along with like a cheat sheet, you wouldn't have known that people walked out. And so I am willing that it matters in terms of my assessment. I think that I'll give them a B minus, but at least there was attempts at efforts that is some largely failed, but at least this is not the end all be all, but there is a growing understanding amongst these Democrats on some level that they got to do something. And in fact, I think when we talk later in the program to Chuck Rabati, he's going to have strong opinions on this. And I'm looking forward to hearing from him. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.